Nightborn delivers an ending that is both horrifying and surprisingly emotional. On the surface, the finale appears to tell the story of a mother who loses her humanity while allowing her monstrous child to disappear into the forest. However, the final scenes reveal that the film is not simply about monsters hiding in the woods. Instead, it explores family heritage, motherhood, and the struggle between accepting who someone truly is and forcing them to become something they can never be. From the very beginning, the film quietly hints that something is wrong with Saga's childhood home. The isolated house deep within the Finnish forest feels less like a place where people live and more like an extension of the woods themselves. Trees grow directly through the building, the structure slowly decays as though nature is reclaiming it, and strange sounds echo through the forest long before Kuura is even conceived. These details become much more important by the ending because the forest is not simply a backdrop for the story. It is alive. One of the earliest clues appears when Saga and John conceive their child inside the twisted grove. The trees resemble human figures with reaching branches that almost look like hands, while deep moaning sounds seem to respond to what is happening. Rather than witnessing an ordinary conception, the audience is actually watching the forest participate. That moment establishes that Kuura is never entirely human. His birth confirms those suspicions almost immediately. Instead of looking like a healthy newborn, Kuura arrives covered in thick hair with a small tail. He cannot tolerate sunlight, refuses ordinary food, and survives only by drinking blood. Each new behavior pushes Saga and John further apart. John continues trying to treat Kuura as their son despite everything he witnesses. Saga gradually reaches the opposite conclusion. She stops referring to the child as him and instead calls the infinite, that thing, and little monster. At first, her words may seem cruel. The ending completely changes how they should be understood. Saga is not rejecting her child because he is different. She instinctively recognizes something John cannot yet accept. Kuura does not belong to the human world. Throughout the film, Saga herself begins changing alongside her son. She develops a stronger attraction to raw meat. Her body becomes increasingly hairy. Even her pregnancy takes on unnatural qualities as her stomach resembles the trunk of a growing tree rather than a normal pregnancy. These physical transformations quietly reveal that Kuura's condition is not an isolated event. It is connected to Saga herself. The truth finally comes into focus through the family's history. Local folklore warns that children lacking proper blessings may be taken by trolls living within the forest. More importantly, some bloodlines are believed to carry troll ancestry. Saga's family is one of them. Her grandmother clearly knew far more than she ever explained. She constantly warned children to stay away from the forest and scattered cold iron around the property. Those actions may have seemed like old superstitions at first. By the ending, they are revealed as practical defenses. In Nordic folklore, cold iron has long been associated with protection against supernatural beings. The moment Kuura is burned by a cold iron object becomes one of the strongest confirmations that he truly belongs to that ancient world rather than the human one. Family memories also reinforce this revelation. Relatives remember that Saga herself preferred spending time among trees rather than with other children. Even before becoming pregnant, she displayed behaviors suggesting the troll blood had always existed within her family. Conceiving Kuura inside the sacred grove simply awakened something that had remained dormant across generations. The climax begins when John finally decides enough is enough. Unable to watch Kuura become increasingly dangerous, he attempts to take the child away from Saga, believing she has become an unfit mother. From John's perspective, his actions are understandable. He believes he is trying to save his son from a mother descending into madness. From the film's perspective, however, John represents humanity refusing to accept a truth it cannot control. The struggle between husband and wife quickly becomes something much larger than a custody battle. It is a conflict between two worlds. Human civilization stands against ancient nature. During the confrontation, Kuura reveals his true connection to the forest. Rather than defending himself physically, he summons the trees. One of them suddenly impales John, killing him almost instantly. This moment demonstrates that the forest has protected Kuura from the beginning. The trolls, or perhaps the forest itself, have always been watching. Once John dies, the film delivers its most disturbing sequence. Kuura begins feeding on his father's body. Then Saga joins him. She tears out John's heart and shares it with her child. This horrifying act marks the complete end of Saga's humanity. She no longer stands between two identities. She has fully embraced the ancient bloodline living inside her. Yet, despite its graphic nature, the scene carries symbolic meaning beyond simple horror. Throughout the film, Saga struggles with whether she should reject Kuura or accept him. By sharing the heart, she chooses acceptance. Not acceptance of ordinary motherhood, but acceptance of what her child truly is. Instead of forcing Kuura to become human, she finally allows him to exist according to his own nature. The final sunrise provides the emotional resolution. Saga walks outside as the house behind her appears almost completely consumed by decay. This image reflects more than physical destruction. The home itself has fulfilled its purpose. It was never simply a family house. It was the place where the troll bloodline would awaken once again. As Kuura walks toward the forest without fear or hesitation, the trees finally reveal themselves. Faces slowly emerge from the trunks. The forest is no longer pretending to be ordinary. The trolls openly welcome the child home. One important detail is that the film still refuses to fully reveal Kuura's face until these closing moments. That creative decision preserves much of the mystery surrounding him. Rather than turning him into a conventional movie monster, Nightborn allows viewers to imagine how completely he has changed. His hidden appearance also reflects the film's larger message. What matters is not exactly what Kuura looks like. What matters is where he belongs. Saga watches him disappear into the woods. Instead of desperately trying to stop him, she smiles. It is not a smile of happiness. It is one of acceptance. She finally understands that motherhood is not always about keeping a child close. Sometimes it means allowing them to become who they were always meant to be. The trolls themselves represent much more than supernatural creatures. In Nordic folklore, they exist as embodiments of untamed nature, ancient traditions, and forces that existed long before human civilization. Within Nightborn, they symbolize instincts that modern society often tries to suppress. Throughout the story, Saga struggles against those instincts. She tries to live an ordinary life with John. She attempts to become an ordinary wife and mother. The forest constantly reminds her that she was never entirely ordinary. By the ending, she stops resisting that truth. Nightborn ultimately uses horror not simply to frighten audiences, but to explore the uncomfortable realities of motherhood. Every parent eventually discovers that children are not extensions of themselves. They possess their own identities, desires, and destinies. The film transforms that universal experience into supernatural horror by making Kuura literally belong to another world. Saga's final decision is heartbreaking because she realizes love does not mean forcing him to stay. It means letting him return to the family and the ancient heritage that have been calling to him since before he was born. Rather than ending with the defeat of evil, Nightborn concludes with acceptance. John cannot survive because he refuses to understand what Kuura truly is. Saga survives because she accepts the truth about both her son and herself. As the forest welcomes Kuura into the company of the trolls, the final image suggests that the ancient bloodline has not ended. It has simply come home, leaving the human world behind and allowing nature to reclaim one of its own once again.